Sarah Jessica Parker's real-life romance with Matthew Broderick is the kind of love story even Carrie Bradshaw would envy. They've been together for decades, and their relationship truly feels like a rom-com brought to life. It all started in November 1991 in New York. Matthew actually met Sarah Jessica through her brothers, Pippin and Toby, who had founded a theater company. He was directing a play there, and they introduced him to Sarah. And how did he ask her out? Through a voicemail. Yep, that's peak 90s charm. Sarah once said, he left a very charming, very self-effacing message on the machine. Hi, it's Matthew Broderick. And yes, back then, people had to say their full names on the answering machine.
So we had our first official date on March 8th of 1992, and we've been together ever since.
Fast forward a few years to 1996, and the couple took their love to the stage, literally. They starred together on Broadway in How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying. Sarah was already smitten, calling Matthew the most handsome man she'd ever seen and saying he inspired her. Honestly, that's not just co-star praise, that's true love in action.
So then pretty soon into our relationship, I felt like, I'm in love with him.
Just a year later, on May 19, 1997, they surprised about 100 guests who thought they were attending a regular party, and boom. It was actually a wedding. Sarah wore a black dress instead of white because, well, of course she did. It's Sarah Jessica Parker. In 2002, they welcomed their first child, a baby boy named James Wilk, after Matthew's late father. Then, in 2009, their family grew again, this time with the help of a surrogate. Sarah and Matthew became parents to twin girls, Marion and Tabitha.
When you're responsible for children, and not just what they need, but their emotional well-being, right, it's a whole different.
Sarah later opened up about their journey, sharing that they tried to get pregnant the conventional way, but eventually turned to surrogacy. I would give birth as often as I could, if I could, she said in a Vogue interview. That kind of openness is truly inspiring.
What's the hardest part about being a mom?
Separate and equal time with all children.
But hey, even the best love stories have their challenges. In 2011, Sarah told The Telegraph that their marriage wasn't always picture perfect. You have good days, you have decent days, and you have bad days. That's a marriage, she said. No sugarcoating. Just the honest truth about what it takes to make love last. Men still. Sarah never stopped singing Matthew's praises. In 2013, she told Harper's Bazaar, "Call me crazy, but I love him." And in 2018, Sarah shared how their busy work lives often keep them apart, but that distance actually brings them closer. "We have so much to share," she explained. When it comes to balancing love and career, they've definitely got it down. Matthew's take? In 2020, he admitted he didn't really have a secret to their lasting relationship, but said, "I love her. It's amazing." Sometimes it really is that simple.
We really are friends, beyond everything else, and we talk a lot.
By 2022, both Sarah and Matthew were sharing more about those early moments that sparked their romance. Sarah vividly recalled their first and second kisses, the first outside an apartment building, and the second near a subway. "I had a Ricola in my mouth. It was the dead of winter, and I thought, well, it just seemed like a third party. So I spit it out into my gloved hand because I was getting on the subway. It was stuck on my glove," she recalled. Meanwhile, Matthew said he knew Sarah was the one from the moment he saw her walking down the street. Oh, this really makes you believe in love at first sight. And recently, Sarah shared a fun fact that left jaws dropping. Since their first date in 1992, they've hardly ever spent a night apart.
The exception of work on location, or his mother was ill for a bit, so he went to take care of her. But from that first night, we've never been apart.
However, before Sarah Jessica Parker's real-life fairy tale with Matthew Broderick began, she faced her own share of heartaches and challenges during her 8-year relationship with Robert Downey Jr. Sarah and Robert met in 1984 while filming Firstborn. They acted alongside each other, and their romance kicked off pretty quickly. They fell hard and fast, and it didn't take long for the new couple to decide to move in together. They were both only 18 years old at the time, but that didn't stop them from taking their relationship very seriously. Downey was Parker's first real relationship, which makes sense since they were both so young. But the actress even went on to claim that she'd ever been on a real date until she met Robert. Sarah later revealed that her relationship with Downey taught her how to love.
Well, it I think taught me how I love. And what's the difference between loving and taking care of people, and what's necessary, and what grown-ups should and shouldn't do for one another.
Downey was clearly smitten with Parker at the time. I'm really happy with Sarah, and I don't want to ruin it by planning too far ahead, but the way I feel now, marriage looks like where we're headed. However, despite moving into a beautifully decorated Hollywood mansion and trying to live like adults, it wasn't always rainbows and butterflies for the two. The actress even confessed that at times, her relationship with Downey was genuinely scary. A dark, looming cloud began to circle around the couple as Robert fell into a struggle with drug and alcohol addiction. Parker also admitted that she didn't know about Downey Jr.'s addiction for a long time. I was like, why is his heart beating so fast? Don't do so many push-ups before bed, she recalled. His battle with illegal substances started to take a toll on the couple, and their relationship began to crumble. According to Parker, she only stayed with Downey because she didn't want him to die. Things were falling apart just as quickly as they started, and soon the couple was in a toxic cycle that Sarah didn't know how to escape. In an interview, Downey admitted his drug problem killed his relationship with Parker. According to the actor, love was not enough to keep their relationship afloat. Robert admitted that he knew he had a problem with addiction, and Sarah Jessica didn't like it at all because it is the furthest thing from what she is. He explained that she tried to help him, and she would get upset when he couldn't get his act together. He added, "I was in love with Sarah Jessica, and love clearly was not enough." When asked about her relationship with Robert, the actress confessed, "I felt like I had entered an alternate universe of really scary associations and a habit that had become genuinely scary." The saddest thing of all was that Sarah Jessica felt like there was no way out. Their relationship had hit rock bottom, and the situation was devastating. No matter how hard she tried to help him, Robert seemed to sink deeper and deeper into his addiction. Parker claims she only stayed in her relationship with Downey because she was terrified that if she left him, he would overdose. The actress explained, "I'd never seen drugs, done drugs, or been around drugs. I think I was naive. I wasn't innocent, but I was naive." Sarah also thought that she could handle everything that was being thrown at her. She thought that she would be able to help Robert through his addiction and get him to be sober. She didn't understand how his addiction had gotten and that he needed to go to rehab. Eventually, after almost 8 years together, the actress realized she had no choice but to leave him. She realized that she had fallen out of love with him, and was only staying in the relationship out of fear. The biggest, hardest choices about those kinds of relationships are feeling brave enough to leave, even if you think they're going to die. The actress also explained that her relationship with Downey taught her how to be a parent, because the things that I ended up caring about and the way I cared for Downey were things that might be more suitable for a parent.
So I think I learned a lot about it. You don't know you're learning about it when you're in it. You're just in the day-to-day caring about someone and loving them.
However, the actress made sure to add that she doesn't regret a thing about her 8 years with Downey, despite the struggles and heartache she faced. And according to Downey, he doesn't blame Parker for leaving. In his own words, he was so selfish throughout their relationship, and he believes she deserved better. In an interview, Downey credits Parker for helping him get his act together and for teaching him how to become more practical. Even Robert's father says that his son would have been hopeless if it weren't for Sarah Jessica. "I thank God for Sarah Jessica Parker," says Robert Downey Sr. "Without her, Robert would go at 100 miles an hour into a brick wall." Robert and Sarah Jessica officially split in 1991 after the actress claimed she was able to summon up the courage to leave him. The actor still had a long road of recovery ahead of him, but after a stint in prison for drug possession, Downey committed to sobriety in 2002 and has remained sober ever since. The former couple both went on to marry other people, but their relationship remained ingrained in Hollywood history as an epic romance. Parker married Matthew Broderick in 1997. Downey married Deborah Falconer in 1992 and had a son together, but they split a few years later due to the actor's continued struggle with addiction. However, after committing to a life of sobriety, He later married producer Susan Levin in 2005 and credited her with turning his life around. She told me, "I'm not doing that drug dance with you. I'm drawing a line in the sand here." She was absolutely clear about it. He added that it wasn't as though anyone else had told him the same thing, but this time he took it seriously. He cared about what she thought of him, and he wanted to be the best version of himself for her. He said this time it was different because he really wanted a different life for himself, and he wanted her by his side. Robert and Susan later went on to have 2 children together and live blissfully happy on their farm with loads of animals.
4 alpaca, 2 Oreo cows, because we saw them walking around in Richmond Park, and they're mortifying but kind of docile. And then like 30 chickens and a bunch of rescue goats.
It was 4 goats, 2 pigs, like 30
Producer.
chickens.
She has an accurate count.
Over 2 decades after his split with Jessica, Downey revealed he wanted some closure on his time with Parker and had dinner with the actress. Robert was even introduced to Parker's 3 children. He said that for once, he wanted to take care of some personal business as opposed to something that was required of him. He wanted to check in with her because she was someone he shared a big part of his life with. The actor shared, "Seeing her, I was like, she's so great and so cool and so funny and so in command. I got to meet her kids and I saw the way she and Matthew live, and I respect both of them so much." Sarah Jessica also spoke about their reunion. It was really nice. It was surprisingly not weird. "We were 18 when we met, and fundamentally we are sort of the same. I think the difference is he has a family and a wife, and obviously his career is a massive thing. But I think his true nature, it was completely familiar. We're so happy to see that they both moved on with their lives and found a love that brings them a huge amount of joy. And of course, we couldn't be prouder of Robert for being able to overcome his addiction."